Welcome to the Core Experience, your connection to community, business, and the people who make it happen. With your hosts, Adam Emberton and Brittany Reba.
Welcome back to another episode of the Core Experience. My name is Adam Emberton, Learning and Development Officer.
And my name is Brittany Reba, Digital Marketing Specialist. And today we welcome Pam Spaccarotella, who's the owner and founder of LGT Transport and Lawson Cryogenic Manufacturing. But before we talk to her, Adam, what's been going on at Core Bank?
Well, recently, as most of you know, we did have our locations closed for President's Day, but that gave us an opportunity to really take advantage of that day and have our all-employee meeting, which was great. It was a heavy snow day. Unfortunately, we got a lot of snow that day and it was very cold, but we were still able to get together with members of our board and of our executive leadership team. And we even had members from our Kansas market come up, and we had members from our Arizona market come up, which I'm sure they really appreciated the snow.
Yeah, they weren't ready for the weather we had. But yeah, it was a great professional development opportunity for everyone to come together and learn more about banking industry trends. We had some speakers we heard and spoke with the groups at our table and to learn more about what we can do for our customers and improve here at Core Bank.
Yeah, and we got to hear from those different speakers and from a panel of our own employees too that really shared their experiences and their focus on customers too. So it was a lot of great information that day, a lot of information we were able to take home from that day, and it's always great to just be able to get together with the people that we work with. We're
excited to have our guest, Pam Spaccarotella, here from LGT Transport and Lawson Cryogenic Manufacturing.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here.
Good to have you.
Pam is a business customer, Core Bank, and she's really expanding on her businesses. And I've had the pleasure of writing a couple blog spotlights about her growing businesses. So we're excited to have her share more about what's going on and how everything's been founded.
Awesome. Well, thank you for inviting me.
So first, can you share about the story about how LGT Transport began and your vision for that?
Absolutely. And actually, my vision, it involves Core Bank because Core Bank has been with me since the beginning. So I started, I was at the City of Omaha. I was a finance director for the City of Omaha, and the mayor was getting recalled. And so I had to decide what I was going to do next because I was a political appointee and there was a possibility that he wasn't going to get reelected. So I had been in trucking before, and I thought to myself, I can either go work for somebody or I can go in business for myself. And I decided that I wanted to try the business by myself, all by myself. I'd done a partnership before and done some other things. So I put together a business plan, and it was pretty aggressive. I had planned on having 15 trailers that I was going to purchase and a comparable number of trucks. And I went to all the banks that I could possibly find. And boy, their doors were closed. So it was very difficult to find anybody. At first, I started with some of the major banks. I thought that they would be interested in my background and my business plan, and they sure weren't. And so then I went to some of the local banks, and this company has a presence throughout the United States. So I started in Nebraska, but I also went to Texas, which is one of our largest terminals, and still couldn't get any traction. And so I decided to downsize my business plan. I reduced it, tried again, still no interest. And by that time, I was getting a little deflated. You know, most people do when they're trying to start their business and you're all excited about the plan and nobody else is, right? Nobody else wants your vision. And so I just waited about 6 months and I said, well, I'm going to try one more time. And I reduced it again to 5 trailers. And I started calling the banks and I started, I called Centennial Bank then. It was Centennial Bank. And I asked to talk to a commercial lender, and Catherine picked up the phone, Catherine Barker. And we talked for a while, a long time, and I was telling her about my background. I was telling her about my plans, what I wanted to do. And by the end of the call, she said, this is something we'd be interested in. And she said, can you meet for lunch? And I said, yeah, sure, I can meet for lunch. And we met at Azteca with John and Catherine. and one other individual. And by the end of lunch, they had indicated they were very interested. They would take it to the loan committee and see who else would be interested. And 2 weeks later, I had my financing. So it's a great story. It's to me, it's just a great way of getting started with a partner, right? A partner like Core Bank. Mm-hmm. So did I answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is a great story because I think a lot of people who are starting businesses probably go through that, the excitement at the beginning, then you kind of have the roller coaster of, maybe things aren't going the way you had originally planned. And then something like that happens where you get a partner and we're happy we were able to partner with you on that. So.
Yeah.
And that was with Centennial Bank.
It was. Which became Core Bank.
Yep, became Core Bank. So how long have you been running LGT Transport?
So we started LGT. It was incorporated in 2011, and we actually started operations in October of 2012. So we've been doing business for 12 years. This is our 13th year, and we've done it all with Core Bank.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what sets LGT Transport apart from other logistic or transportation companies?
I think it's a couple things. First, I think we're just a quality outfit. I think we always try to do the right thing. I think the people really have their heart and soul into it, and I think that comes through in everything that we do. And I think the second thing is we never overpromise and underdeliver. We're always under-promising and over-delivering. What we do when a customer calls me and they call my competitor will say, yeah, I can get you 20 trucks. And I'll say, no, I don't think so. I think I can get you 10. And I deliver 10, right? And the worst thing that you can do for a customer is say you're going to bring 20 trucks to a job and only bring 10 and the customer is waiting for the product. Mm-hmm. So.
What industries do you primarily serve, and how has that kind of evolved over your 12 and now 13th year of business?
So our fundamental core business is what's called industrial gases. So we haul liquid oxygen to hospitals, liquid nitrogen to usually the oil refineries. Sometimes they freeze strawberries, so we deliver to those types of places. We haul liquid carbon dioxide to all the meatpacking plants and poultry plants. And then we have what's called argon, which is a manufacturing gas. So those are our 4 core products. And those were our core products probably for the first 10 years, and then COVID hit. Mm. And I think COVID took a turn for everybody. They had to take a step back and say, okay, what else could we do, right, to get us through this time? And we ended up buying some anhydrous ammonia trailers and started hauling anhydrous ammonia, which you would think that we would do that since we're in the ag belt anyways. But that was, we hadn't done that before. And then we learned how to do propane and we learned how to do butane. And more recently, we've gotten into LNG. We've gotten into hydrogen. We do helium for balloons. So once you start expanding your core base, it kind of just takes a life of its own. And somebody comes to you and say, hey, can you haul this? And you're like, yeah, I could do that. And then you go figure out how to do it, right?
Right.
But those are the products that we haul.
Well, that's a good segue into how do you ensure the safety and reliability of transporting
right.
those materials?
Yeah, so all of our things that we haul are hazardous materials. And so safety has to be your number one priority, making sure the load gets to the customer safely and that driver gets home safely. So we focus on safety. We focus on hiring the best drivers that are available. We maintain our equipment. We make sure we have strong processes and procedures in place. Safety encompasses everything that we do. It's just it's like your cornerstone, right? When you go to church on Sunday and they say this is the foundation, this is your cornerstone, that's what it is. Safety is your cornerstone.
And what kind of challenges do drivers face out on the road, and what do you all do to support them?
Yeah, so if anybody knows an over-the-road truck driver, they'll know that it can be a very lonely profession. Oftentimes they're away from home from their families for 3 to 4 weeks at a time. And they miss those things that we're also accustomed to seeing, birthdays and anniversaries and Valentine's Day. And, So it's difficult. It's a hard life, and they're oftentimes in our business they're going to different places. They're struggling to find where am I going to park at night. So what's really important for us is connection, and I think most people have kind of gravitated towards the feeling that people want a purpose. They don't want to just work somewhere. And so we try to give the drivers purpose. We try to connect with them. Either, somebody picks up the phone and calls them. We use social media a lot. We recognize birthdays and anniversaries. And we always have Christmas parties every year that everybody is invited to. So it's really just focusing on maintaining that relationship, right, with the people that work for you.
Yeah.
So.
That makes it sound like LGT is a great place to work then for the drivers.
Well, I'm kind of biased, but absolutely.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Some of the nice benefits then.
It is. It's interesting because when you get a new driver that comes from a very large company and they call you on the phone, they'll usually say, this is truck number 595. And it's like, okay, just a minute. Let me look at my Rolodex. 595. That's not how I know you. I know your name, right? I know you by your name. I know where you live. I know what your family's like. I mean, you have to connect with the people that work for you.
And I think that's really shows not just a number, right?
Not just a number.
They are people, and it's great. I feel like that you don't recognize by that number to really show that.
Absolutely. And the other thing we focus on too is, a driver for us is our ambassador, right? They're the ones that are going out and making connections with actually the customers, the people that are producing the product or receiving the product. And so it's very important to recognize they're the face of our company.
Great.
What other technologies or innovations are you implementing to improve efficiencies in safety?
Yeah, it seems like trucking is on this accelerating highway of technology advancements. It was so archaic for so long, the dispatching, and it just seems like everything is changing, and things are being connected that weren't connected before. But now these days, if you call me and ask me where my driver is, I can look at a computer and say, oh, they're at so and so. They're on this street and they're taking a left, and you can see all of that. Before it used to be you would have to wait until they stopped and they could receive a phone call. So technology is light years ahead of where it used to be, and we use technology for just pinpointing their location. We use technology. We have cameras in the vehicles that basically monitor performance. They monitor how fast they're going, if they're following too close, if they're making a lane change that they shouldn't. So those help make our drivers more safe. It helps also make the community more safe. But we also maintain our equipment through software, and we do dispatching through software. I mean, everything is driven, and it's becoming more and more important that all of them are integrated. And so that's where we're focusing on today, is making sure start to finish integration is the key. AI is becoming very important, and so it'll be interesting to see over the next 10 years how that impacts the trucking industry.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be very interesting to see how it really impacts probably every industry.
Absolutely.
I think everybody kind of looks at it and goes, okay, how is this going to evolve my company? And I think there's something different probably out there for every different type of industry.
Agreed. Yeah. So one of the things that's really exciting about the company, our company, I think it's very exciting, is we actually deliver oxygen and nitrogen to SpaceX.
Oh, wow.
For the launches. Wow. And so if you've never been to a launch, it's very exciting. That's what basically fuels the jet rockets that shoot the rockets into the air, or the satellites, or whatever it is that we're sending up there. But we do some really cool stuff. Yeah. We deliver oxygen into the fisheries, right? And they pump the oxygen, especially when it gets hot. And the fish farms need oxygen in the water in order to keep the fish alive during the heated months of the summer. So we'll do that. It's amazing what we touch, just this little company in Nebraska, throughout the United States. It's very interesting. And we actually deliver into Canada, and we also deliver to the border of Mexico, and somebody else transports it in.
So you literally are water, land, air, and beyond then.
Incredible. Wow.
I'm not air yet.
Not yet, yeah.
But it is it's a very interesting business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know some of those things I wouldn't have even thought of. I mean, with some of the fuel and whatnot and the materials that go out, I wouldn't have thought of it going into things like SpaceX or again down to the oxygen needed in the water for the fish farms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago, one of the Catherine is always telling me, you never sit still, Pam. You never sit still. And so one of the things that was happening is with the advent of hydrogen is a lot of the trailer manufacturers were consolidating, and they were transitioning their manufacturing facilities for hydrogen because it's the up-and-coming alternative fuel, and they think it's going to solve some of the emissions issues. And so we got a little concerned about, well, who's going to manufacture our trailers? And I thought in 2016, when I had started Lawson Cryogenic Repair Facility down in Baytown, that possibly I would be able to expand that business into manufacturing. And so I called Catherine and I said, Catherine, what do you think, right? What do you think about building a manufacturing facility in Gretna? And I'm from Gretna. That's where I live. And it's one of the places where I thought it would be a good fit. She said, I don't know, Pam. I don't know. That's a lot of money. And so she says, why don't you put together another business plan? And so I did. I put together a business plan. I have a lot of talented people that work at Lawson Cryogenic and also at LGT. And we were able to put together a business plan that Catherine could sell. And she's amazing. And it's not only does she help me get started, but every idea that I bring to Catherine is always, okay, how do we get this done? She's creative. She's got a lot of ingenuity. She's like, okay, who can partner with us on this, right? And of all the things, who would have thought that it would be a USDA loan for a manufacturing facility, right? I mean, who would think of that except for Catherine Barker at Core Bank, right? So she finally was able to get financing through USDA. We got a Nebraska Economic Development Fund, and we also got some additional money from the state. It's an INLRF fund. And we are in the beginning stages of building the manufacturing facility in Gretna to manufacture the trailers that LGT Transport uses. So we're very excited about the new opportunity that brings, not only for us, but also for the community. And it's going to open in September. So you guys will have to come see.
Yes, we'll have to come out and take a look at that. Yeah.
You just had the ribbon cutting that was in October. Right?
We did. Yeah. And I don't remember the woman's name who flew in, but she was a USDA rep, something. She was high up there in Washington, D.C. I don't remember her name. But anyways, they attended. It was very nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
So
that will really help the economy and job growth in Gretna and around this area.
Yeah. And it's and we'll make something. And it's the difference between a trucking company and a manufacturing company. A trucking company, you provide a service. Manufacturing, you actually make something, deliver something. So it's kind of like a legacy in my mind.
And it's great to hear those stories, too, because Catherine Barker, who is one of our commercial lenders here at Core Bank, obviously not just a lender, worked as a partner with you. And I think sometimes people see that, commercial lender, they think, oh, okay, just a lender. But as you can tell, Catherine is not just a lender here, has been a partner, has been with you for the whole ride, too.
The whole ride.
Yeah.
Right. The whole ride. I actually am amazed at your building, right? Because when I first started doing business with you all, I was going to 120th and Center. Mm-hmm. And every time I walked into that bank, I have to tell you, I told Catherine, you got to do something about this. You got to do something about this bank. And then you built this. And this place is amazing. It's just a beautiful building and a great location. And it just goes to the success of Core Bank. You guys have done a great job, and you've had a similar growth pattern. So,
and we're very lucky to be able to work in such a beautiful building too. It's a great place. Yes. Yeah. So Pam, what's next for LGT Transport and for Lawson Cryogenic?
What's next? That's a great question. And, it's really interesting how business evolves, right? Because I think a lot of people think that, I can't go into business for myself because I don't know what I'll do. Sometimes my kids talk about working for themselves and they think, I just need an idea. And I always tell people, when you go into business for yourself, just do what you know, right? And just do it well. And then see where it takes you. And that's what's, to me, really interesting. I have a 5-year plan, and I have, a certain amount of growth, and everybody has one of those, right? But you have to listen, and you have to watch, and you have to keep your eyes and ears open for opportunities that you may never expect will occur. And one of my favorite stories, and my daughter's going to kill me for telling you this story. One of my favorite movies, right, is Apollo 13. And Tom Hanks is in Apollo 13, and he's on the TV, and his wife is watching, and he's talking about how he's over in Vietnam, and he loses all of his lights in his cockpit, and he thinks he's not going to make it home. And in that story, he says, and then all of a sudden, the algae in the sea is like a neon algae, and he says, and it's basically leading me home, right? But if you're not watching, right, if you're not looking and waiting, you'll never see the algae, right? And it's the same thing with opportunities. You just have to wait and see. And when something comes in, take it and see what happens. That's my opportunities. So.
I love that.
Great analogy.
Yes. Well, Pam, any last thoughts that you want to share with us for LGT Transport or for Lawson Cryogenic?
I think the last thing I would say is it's really been a community. It's been a wonderful opportunity in Omaha. We built a building in our original headquarters building in Papillion, right next to the Warner Fields, and the community was very supportive of that. The industrial park was an awesome industrial park to build in, and now we're going into Gretna. We would not be successful if it were not for the community that we're in. And so we're very appreciative of all the support that we've gotten along the way. And then the last thing I would say is I'm so very grateful for the people that work at LGT and Lawson, and I can't wait to see what they do next.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Pam.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
We thrive to foster a sense of community and value your input. So please submit any questions about the content or any ideas to us that you'd like to hear in the future.
And don't forget to share our podcast with your connections. Make sure you are liking and subscribing on any of the streaming services that you listen to podcasts or through YouTube so you don't miss future episodes.
And for more information on the Core Experience, feel free to email coreexperience@corebank.com or go to the Core Bank website and at /podcast.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Core Experience, your connection to community, business, and the people who make it happen. For more details, visit corebank.com/podcast or email coreexperience@corebank.com. Brought to you by Core Bank, member FDIC.